Up next on Live It Up, it is Michael Alden. He is an author, so much more. Excited to have him on my show because he has lots of shows himself. How are you?
I'm fabulous. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Good. All the way up from the Northeast?
All the way from the Northeast, Boston, Massachusetts. My accent already came out, I can tell. 20 minutes north of Boston in a little town called Beverly, Massachusetts. It's right next to Salem, for those of you who are familiar with the witch trials and all that. It's fun right around this time of year.
Yeah, Salem's a great city.
Yeah.
And also known for the Underground Railroad, too. They have like the houses that have all like the hidden secret Underground Railroad stuff.
A lot of history there, yeah.
Yeah,
a lot
Boston.
Of history there. Yeah, Boston.
And the purple windows. Do you know about that?
I do, actually, yeah. So you see those you'll see those in Boston proper, and they're windows that date back to like the 18th century, 17th century, and once they're broken, they're never made again. So
yeah,
there's
there was
a few of them.
Special iron or something that got into the mix that day, and it when it oxidized or whatever, they caused them to be purple. I love Boston. Can you tell?
When you walk on Boston Common, you can see those. It's pretty neat.
There you go. So here you are. You got a chance to grow up in Boston, but you said that your background was kind of a little different. You're a self-made man.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a difficult situation. There were a lot worse situations than mine, but I grew up, surrounded by crime, drugs, violence. My mother's HIV positive. My stepfather died of AIDS. A friend of mine's in jail for life for murder. One of my brothers did 2 years in prison for distribution, and it was a difficult situation, to grow up like that. But also, a lot of times people would say to me, and they say, Mike, what makes you so different? All the people that you grew up with, like, what did you do differently? And to be honest with you, I didn't have an answer. But I started writing things down, and I said, wow, I've done things just a little bit differently than all these people, the people that I grew up with, the family members and things like that. And that's really at the end of the day. In fact, when you look at my DNA and you study my DNA and my family members and the people that have had all these issues, there is no difference in our DNA. One of the things that I figure out, there's no such thing as these two genes, a success gene or a failure gene. We don't have them. In other words, there's no predisposition. So you just have to kind of figure it out. If you want to be successful, if you want to grow, if you want to do things, then at the end of the day, you have to do it.
Yeah, it's a choice.
It is a choice.
It's like a choice between being miserable or being happy.
Right.
Every day you wake up and you're like, all right, I'm going to choose. I'm going to choose happy.
Right.
And I'm kind of like that too. I'm like very effervescent, and people are like, "Oh my gosh, you're always so nice. You're always so upbeat. You're always so positive." I'm like, "Well, for the most part, it is, but it's definitely a choice. It's a conscious decision I make every single day I wake up. I'm like, all right, today's going to be a good day because it might be my last.
It's a choice,
and I'm not going to waste it.
But it's also the other thing too. People don't understand, but it's also work. That's the other thing. You see all these people, these successful people like you, and all these, and they always seem happy, but it's work. We're human. We're not always happy. In fact, I tell people, when I wake up in my bedroom, I have a painting of an artist named Romero Brito, right? And it's of the word happy. And I look at every day to remind myself that I need to be happy. And I live a great life. But you know what? It's not always perfect. And that's the thing that, the things that I talk about in all my books. Like, look, you need to work at it every single day. You're not just going to wake up and just always be happy, because things aren't always going to be perfect. But when you have that mindset that you're talking about, it's a lot easier to get through those difficult things.
And I catch myself too in the negative nonsense. I'll be driving to the city and I'll be like, oh, it's so hot. My air conditioning happens to be broken in my car right now. I'm getting it fixed. I'm sweating. I'm like on my way to this big event. I'm like, and I'm like, no.
Right. Yeah.
People used to say count to 10. I'm like, you got to count to 20.
Right. Meditation. I found meditation a few years ago. It's helped.
So tell me about your author. Tell me about your book. Tell me about the first one that was out and what you got going now.
Sure. So my first book was titled Ask More, Get More, and it's really simple. The title kind of speaks for itself. I realized when I started looking at my life and the differences between the people that I grew up with and myself, is really at the end of the day, I just decided to ask for more. I asked for more out of myself. I asked for more out of others, and then ultimately I asked for more out of life. And that book was, it's done a lot of great things. There's #2 in Wall Street Journal and USA Today bestseller, #1 on Amazon. That did some great things. And then I wrote a second book called 5% More, and that book was really interesting. I didn't have an idea or a plan to write a book for the second one. And me, of all people, I'm a big guy, and my girlfriend's here behind the scenes, and I was with her. She says, you got to come to this spinning class with me in a spinning class. So we're in the spinning class. It's about 45 minutes, and you get to the end of the class. If you've ever been in one, it's like there's EDM music, right? And there's a woman up there or a guy up there with the headphones and everything. And she says, look, this is a 45-minute class. We have 5 minutes left in this class. She says, look, for the next 5 minutes, I want you to give me 5% more effort. She says, if you give me 5% more effort, you're going to burn more calories. Your heart rate's going to increase. Your metabolic rate's going to increase. When you get off the bike, you're going to have all those benefits. And you're also going to live a healthier, happier life. And then she said, anybody can do anything 5% more. And I was like, it just clicked. I wanted to jump off the bike and start writing right then and there. And I said, I wonder what it would look like if we applied that concept to virtually every aspect of our life. Like, what would it look like if you read to your children 5% more? And there's data out there. What would it look like if you're a salesperson? You know, I was just talking to someone earlier who her son's a salesperson, and I said, well, look, if you're talking to 100 people a day, let's make it 105 and just stay there and just see what happens in your life. And the other part about it is the science agreed with me, because you got all these guys out there, and this is why my third book came out. You got all these guys out there saying you need to be 100% in, you need to be 105%, you need to 10 up your actions. Nobody can do that. But anybody can do anything 5% more, and that was the second book.
I love it. Just a little pinch.
just a little bit. Yeah. I mean, and again, and that's how we're wired. You know, physiologically. Again, the science agrees with me. And when you look at it, it's easy to go just a little bit, and then work, and then compound on it, right?
I like it.
Yeah, that was that book. And then this book right here, you know, Blueprint to Business, is more of a business-centric book that, you know, I talk about the real aspect of being an entrepreneur, like what it's like, you know, when things go wrong, and how do you overcome that, and you know, really understanding that, look, if you want the lifestyle of an entrepreneur, it's going to take time, and you're going to have to do things that most people won't do. Like, for instance, I drove here, you know, I had some people with me, but, you know, we were trying to figure out how to get here, and I could have flown here. I probably could have taken a private jet here and got here a lot faster, but I said, you know what, this makes more sense because I had some other things I had to do. And a lot of times people say, you know what, forget it, I'm just not going to do that. That's not me, and that isn't.
You make the most out of it.
You make the most out of it, but that's what successful entrepreneurs do.
I agree 100%. And it really is the tapestry of your life that you're weaving on a day in and day out basis, you know, and then the tips that you have in your book. It's not, I think an author is doing the most gracious thing when they're sharing the knowledge that they have that's going to help better someone else's business. It's like, it's taking all of the horrible things and the challenges that you have overcome, and you're being generous of spirit in order to write it down to share it anyway. Because you could just be kind of like, all right, I figured it out, like you're on your own.
Yeah, look at me. No, because that's crazy. I mean, they say, you know, a lot of times, I heard someone once say, you know, the best experiences are those of others, right? And so when I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, and I continue to make mistakes. And that's the other thing too. I'm as real as it gets, as you can probably tell. You know, so I make mistakes, and I'm telling people in the book, like, look, this is what I did wrong, and let me show you what happened, and hopefully by understanding this, and you take my story or the stories in my book, and you can apply that in your life, and maybe you won't make those mistakes. But here's the other thing too: is, you know, I was talking to someone else in the green room, and she says to me, she says, "Oh, you're an author?" I said, "Yeah." She says, "Well, I've always wanted to publish all my stuff," and I said, well, why haven't you?
Today's the day, right? Today is the day.
And I said, that's the answer. That's the simplicity of it. You know, like people say, oh, I've always wanted to do this. I call it if I had only syndrome. If I had only done that. You know, when you sit back in life and you say to yourself, man, if I had only done that, this is what my life would look like.
Absolutely.
If you want this life, if you want the entrepreneurial life, and by the way, this isn't just for entrepreneurs, but I mean, it is a business-centric book. But if you want certain things, the key elements of what I talk about in Blueprint to Business is actually doing it.
Correct.
You know, and people always talk about dreaming. I say, look, stop dreaming. Dreaming's for sleeping. Let's start doing stuff. And then you dream later. When I was a kid, I used to dream about being rich. Okay, that was a dream. I used to dream about I was going to buy my mother a house. I was going to buy planes. That was a dream. It's not a reality. This is a reality. If you want to change your reality, then you need to do things.
I just want to end on that. That just made me happy. I'm complete. Are you complete?
Not
Michael?
Yet. Not yet.
Not yet? You got more? But wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more.
What else do you want to tell us? Because I'm so jazzed up right now. I'm ready to go. And it takes a lot for somebody to inspire me because I'm already at that level that you're at. But what else would you like to share?
Well, you know, again, this is kind of just to recap on what I said. You know, for me is when I look at people, when I've studied successful people, I've been around literally billionaires and 100 millionaires and some of the, you know, these people, and I've been in rooms with. I was in a room with a guy. He claimed that he was the 4th smartest guy in the world, and he really is. And so I've been around all these different people, and what I really found is that, you know, I go back to the 5% more mentality. What I've really found is it's usually the last 5%. Okay, so if you're in business and when you read my book Blueprint to Business, and you're beaten down and you're tired and everyone's saying no and you keep working and it's not really working, the difference between successful people and the not so successful people is the last 5%. So I say to people, whatever it is, whether it's your personal life or whether you're in business, it's the last 5%. Really, just work just a little bit harder. That's the answer. There is no pill. There's no secret formula to success. Nothing has changed since the beginning of time. And at the end of the day, you just have to do it. So again, if you're looking to do something, please Do it, and then don't be that guy and we're sitting on his porch, or that woman sitting on her porch, and say, if I had only done this, my life would be so much better if I had done this. No, let's get your life the way you want it to today, and that's really what I'm talking about in Blueprint to Business. By the way, it's available for pre-order.
By the way, of course.
But wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more. Michael Alden, thank you for being a guest on Live It Up. And are we going to go dancing now? You, me, you, your girlfriend. Let's go live it up.
Yeah,
5% more.
Absolutely.
All right,
5% more
let's
dancing
go.
and
Let's
5% more vodka.
All right. Thank you for watching Live It Up. We hope you got value out of this. I'm positive that you did. Buy his book. Thanks for watching. You're great. How much fun. Woo!
Cool.